Hello, everyone. I think we can make a start. So welcome to the info session for the Postgraduate Certificate in Ecological Survey Techniques. I am Dr. Joanna Bagniewska, and I am the co-director of this program. So just to let you know, this session is going to last about 45 minutes. It will start off with a short presentation from me about the details of the course, about the setup, and then you will be able to submit any questions that you might have. So you can pop them in the chat or in the Q&A. I will try to answer them as best as I can. It's lovely to have you all here today. Just a little bit about me. I'm the course co-director with my colleague, Dr. Thomas Hesselberg. I'm Dr. Joanna Bagniewska. I'm a zoologist, ecologist. My expertise is in behavioral ecology and also biodiversity conservation. And taxonomically, I specialize in mammal research. So I've worked on a range of species from American mink in this country, but also working on jackals and foxes in South Africa, wombats in Australia, and others as well. So any mammal related questions, I'd be particularly happy to answer. Okay, so a little bit about the program structure. The Postgraduate Certificate in Ecological Survey Techniques is a part-time degree that spreads over 1 year. We would say that the level, even though it's a postgraduate, it's a 1-year course and it's worth 60 credits at level 7, which makes it what we call a third of a master's program, if you think about it, just because it's shorter than a regular master's and because it's part-time. So the way that it's taught is using 2 components. There is the online component, which is the bulk of the degree, but there's also a face-to-face in-person week in Oxford at the beginning of the degree, and that's more experiential learning, and that's also when you get to meet the staff, so myself and my colleagues, as well as your classmates that you will then be in contact with online. And our next intake is for September 2025, so a year from now. That's what you would be hopefully applying for. People often want to know, who is this course for? And we have a whole range of participants with a whole host of backgrounds. The way that it's designed, it's done in a way so it's useful for both professionals who want to up their qualifications, but also volunteers who are interested in the subject and are maybe not planning on using it as next qualification steps. But having said that, our participants come from a range of backgrounds. So we do have professional ecological consultants or other people with ecology backgrounds, people who have just finished, let's say, bachelor's degree in biology, but they feel like they need a more practical approach. We have environmental managers, we have rangers. We also have research students who would like to use this as a stepping stone towards a master's or a PhD. We have educators who are interested in finding out more about surveying as part of their work, but we also have people from a variety of unrelated backgrounds who are using this as an opportunity for making it a career change, and it's the first step for them. So we might have anyone from computer scientists, physicists, journalists, teachers, engineers, architects, who all of a sudden decide that this is something else that they might want to do in life, and it's their first step. And we also have people who are perfectly happy with their regular day-to-day jobs, but are interested enough in a particular taxonomic group or habitat assessment that they would like to have this qualification for their own interest. And we have a very global cohort normally. So past students have come from all over the world. There are, of course, students from the UK, but we've had a number of students from North America, but particularly from the US, from Asia, from various countries within Asia, from Australia and New Zealand, from quite a few African countries, and then, of course, from mainland Europe as well. So it's nice because the structure of the course allows it to be applicable all over the world. It's not simply British centric, even though it is taught in Oxford during the face-to-face week. The skills are very much widely applicable. Okay, so a little bit about the framework in which you will be studying, the structure with which you're dealing. There will be, as I said already, an in-person week in Oxford, and this provides an introduction to the Ecological Survey Techniques program, and it has 3 days in the field. 2 of these are spent in Whiteham Woods, 1 more locally in Oxford. And this in-person face-to-face week gives a really nice opportunity to, first of all, find out more about the study skills that you might need, so anything from library inductions and resources and career opportunities, etc., through learning GIS, so learning how to map, which is a core component of this week, all the way to the experiential learning of learning practical survey techniques in the field. So we would do a range of activities from bird ringing that you see on the picture here, to mammal tracking, to bat bringing, to invertebrate surveys, tree surveys, different types of vegetation analyses, looking at aquatic systems as well. So it's a very intense but very wonderful and useful week that provides a taster of all sorts of taxonomic groups for you. So this is what happens in the first week, and after that you go off and you do online learning. You will be doing a total of 4 online modules. 2 of these are core modules and 2 are optional modules, and I'll talk about these in a second. And then the course culminates with a field project. So it says here 1 to 2 weeks full time, but that refers to the field work that's required of you, because the field project will need to be designed, will need to be conducted, and then will need to be analyzed and written up. So that's where we step in as the course staff. We are here to guide you and to help you, and you will be assigned a supervisor who will provide up to 4 online tutorials that will just assist you with getting the most out of your ideas. So the field project is usually done in a locality that's close to you for practical reasons, and you would be expected to do about 1 or 2 weeks full time in the field, but the project will take you, obviously, as I said, a little bit longer than that. Okay, when it comes to the online modules, there are 4 that you will take, and 2 of these are core online modules. The first one is plant biodiversity and habitat assessment methods, so all about vegetation. And the second one is data analysis. So that focuses around statistics and also a bit of coding. And we use these as core modules because we believe that it's an absolutely essential skill for any ecological surveyor to have. Then with the optional modules, you can select 2 out of 4. So you have a choice of studying mammals and reptiles, or birds, or fish and amphibians, or invertebrates. Something to bear in mind is that any of these online modules can be taken as standalone modules. So if you wanted to only have a taster of what it's like to study in this strange online system, you could just pick one optional module, and as long as you do it in a credit-bearing capacity, so you submit the assessment and you pass, this will be able to count towards the postgraduate certificate if you choose to do one at a later date. So you can carry forward two of such modules that you have done in advance of the actual enrollment for the PG cert. Okay. When it comes to assessments, you have a selection. The very first assessment that would be coming at you is a 2,500 word formative assessment. Formative means that it's graded, but the grade does not count towards your final mark for the course. So the way that it's marked is to provide feedback for you and to give you any tips and point out anything that you have done well. So it's targeted at your own personal development, but this is not counting towards the formal results. And after that, there will be 4 2,000 word assessments. So they will come from the different optional modules that you take. And 2 of these would just be written assessments, but then there are some which may be in slightly different formats. So for the bird module, you're doing a presentation, and for the fish and amphibians, you would be designing a scientific poster. So depending on which option modules you choose, you might end up with a slightly different subset of assignments, but they're all based around the idea of designing some sort of a survey plan for a taxonomic group of your choice. And then your pièce de résistance is the field project. So this is a 5,000 word write-up, and it is accompanied by a short 1,000 word online journal detailing your experiences. The journal is not marked for credit, but it's still mandatory to submit it. It's the 5,000 word field project that really contributes to your final grade. So it's worth a third of your grade. Okay, and a little bit about Oxford University life. Bear in mind that as a PG Cert student, you have access to a lot of the facilities that Oxford offers, and they're really wonderful facilities. So you can access the Bodleian libraries, a whole range of them, and that also means online facilities. So accessing a whole host of scientific journals, textbooks, books, magazines, and so on and so forth. So you also have access to career services who are very good at picking out, they call it green careers. So they will help you write a targeted CV and so on and so forth. So do make use of that. The card itself will get you into a number of the wonderful locations that we have in Oxford. So this would include colleges, this would include galleries and libraries within the college that might not normally be accessible to the general public. It gives you access to a number of events that again might not be accessible to anyone off the street. So again, it's really worth making use of that while you're in Oxford. And then of course, at the end, when you complete the degree, when you've passed everything with flying colors, you would be invited to our annual awards ceremony, a graduation at the Sheldonian Theatre, which is a wonderful celebration because you get to really celebrate and finalize your achievements, and we're there to celebrate with you. But don't just take it from me, take it from the current and previous students who say things such as, if you're inspired to work in ecology and conservation and you're looking to upskill your field research and survey planning and data analysis knowledge, it's definitely the right course to do so, says our past student. And we've had very, very positive reviews overall from this course. Our students have gone on to do really wonderful projects. They do work in ecology, they work in conservation, and they're doing side projects which are really very impressive. So we're of course very proud of them and we celebrate their achievements, but it's nice to know that that we have had an input into this. Okay, so if you want to find out more about any upcoming deadlines, any application advice, anything like that, any more online events that we might run, now's your moment to scan the QR code. And if you do need more stationary information, then do look us up on the continuing education website. We go by EST, Ecological Survey Techniques, or you can email our administrative team as well, and they're always very happy to ask questions. So that is it from me. I'll stop sharing the slides and I'll see if there are any questions that you might have. So one attendee has asked, what are the job opportunities after pursuing this course? So a lot of our students have gone on to become ecological consultants. A lot of them have been working for NGOs. They have been doing public engagement work. They have been working in biodiversity net gain. They have gone on to become rangers. So it's a whole variety of ecology related jobs that that are out there. It depends what your interests are, what the angle is that you're happy to pursue. But it is a very useful skill set that you will be equipped with. And another, this is a little bit of an aside to your question, but another bit of added value is the fact that you become part of this alumni network. So generally participants of this course tend to look out for each other and to help each other with opportunities. And of course, myself, Thomas Hesselberg, my course co-director, and all the tutors on this course are more than happy to help out and direct you towards any employability opportunities. We do send out a newsletter, and where possible, we also include job adverts. Next question is there any age limit? No, not at all. It doesn't matter. Well, there's no upper age limit. I think there might be a lower age limit, so you have to be of age. But there's definitely no upper age limit. There's a question. Somebody's working on freshwater plankton ecology and taxonomy and would like to know if they can apply for an internship. We don't offer internships, unfortunately, but if you would like to come and do one of our modules as a standalone taster and see if there's anything that you will find useful in the back of that, then you're by all means welcome to do so. Somebody writes, I don't see the entry requirements for people with postgrad degrees, only undergrads. Is there a rough guideline for postgraduates? So our requirement is that people hold an undergrad degree, but there is no limitation on how qualified you are beyond that. So so we've had participants joining in who have had PhDs either in a related discipline or a completely unrelated discipline. So there are no upper ranges of educational requirements. So, I mean, we had a neuroscientist who was a postdoc who thought about doing a career shift, joining our course recently. So, so you don't need any particular degrees beyond the undergrad. How knowledgeable do you have to already be in statistics and data for this course? You don't have to be very knowledgeable already. So this is an introductory course that we provide, but we do a lot of scaffolding. So that means that if you've not done anything beyond calculating an average or a standard deviation at some point in high school, or sort of, very light touch minimal stats, we will help you get to a more advanced level. However, if you have done stats, we will also help you further develop your skills. So I mentioned in my presentation that we do use data analysis, and we do the basics of coding. We use R, which is a free software for statistical analysis. And if you're a person who has a very good knowledge of statistics, we will probably challenge you more by getting you to do more of the coding. Now, bear in mind, if you don't have any stats background, that's absolutely fine. If you do have stats background, it also depends on the type of background you have, because statistics is a whole huge branch of mathematics, and the statistics you use in ecology would be very different to what you use in biomedical sciences, for instance. So, so it is a course that that gets, if I can humble brag a bit, gets very good reviews, also from people who take it as researchers, as a standalone course. They want to have a firmer understanding of statistics, and they take that and they do leave very pleased with that. So so it's a course that provides a lot of support, but you don't need much previous experience. Okay. What would the weekly time commitment be for the modules following the first week? So the online modules last 5 weeks each. And during that time, we would say the commitment is between 15 and 20 hours each week. And we say 15 to 20 hours because depending on your background and your circumstances, you might need a little bit less or a little bit more. So this is something that people have been able to comfortably fit around a working life. It is, on the other hand, it is a commitment. So always at an interview, when you apply, we will ask you, how have you thought about making this work around your current commitments, around your work, around your home life, because it might mean spending a lot of weekends on the course, or spending a lot of evenings, and this is something that you need to plan for. But I would say for each of the 5-week modules, it's about 15-20 hours each week. Okay. What are the deadline dates for other work? I am not sure if I understand that. So so each of the modules that lasts 5 weeks will have an assessment deadline that's up to 2 weeks after the end of that module. So you will have, after the first face-to-face week, you will have 2 weeks to complete the formative assessment. Meanwhile, one of the online modules would have already started. So that's the vegetation module. After 5 weeks, there will be another assessment, 2 weeks past the end of that course. Then you'll have data analysis, and then you'll have your 2 optional modules. So depending on when these modules run, because they run one after the other, that's when the deadlines would fall. You can look at when these modules run on our website, because they're always offered as standalone modules as well. And then the deadline for the field project is autumn of the following year. So a year later, that's when you would be doing the project. Is there funding for the fieldwork you do alone in your own location? Not particularly. So this is why we advise you to do fieldwork in your own location, because it will save you the cost of traveling further. But no, we don't normally provide any funding. We can assist you if you're applying for grants from any organization. So I've definitely had students applying for small grants, for instance, for equipment or for any other support. And we're always very happy to do that. But we are not a grant giving body. So no. Can this quiz be progressed from level 7 to level 8 with additional modules or a thesis on the research project? Not in this capacity. So we've had students go on to a postgraduate degree afterwards, and it's always good to see that. There might be opportunities to work and do further degrees with some of our academics if they're research degrees, but it depends very much on your individual circumstances and the availability. So as a PG cert, this is what we offer. And what you do after with that, we could perhaps help facilitate that, but it's not always a given. Okay. Any other questions? Something else I thought maybe I would mention is that the field project opportunity is a really nice chance for you to think about what you want to do a bit strategically with your future career. So some participants have used this opportunity to liaise with potential future employers. There will be many organizations who would be more than happy to have someone survey a particular taxonomic group on their reserve, let's say, or assess their management strategies, kind of do a before and after analysis. And it's a great way of demonstrating your capabilities and also networking for the future. And when it comes to the project, we've had some people do amazingly well, and in fact they got their project work published in scientific journals. So if this is something that you're interested in, and it's by no means mandatory, people come to this course with a different focus. But there are some who want to definitely use it as a stepping stone, maybe towards a PhD, and their goal is to have a publication, if possible. Of course, there are no guarantees on that, but to have a publication at the end of the day. We will help you design a study in a way that makes it more likely that it is publishable. A question on how many people would get accepted. So our cohorts, we accept up to 25 people each year. But then there are also standalone modules. So if this is something that you would want to do, you might give it a little bit of a try and do a module first. before you commit to the whole PG cert. But within that cohort, it's up to 25. When it comes to past projects, so there are some published projects that we've recently sent out in our newsletter, but a whole range of projects people would be doing. So there are always a few on urban ecology. There's one I supervised a couple of years ago on bats in Leicester, so how street lighting affects bats. There was one done in Mexico looking at carnivore densities in different areas. There are some done on cave spiders. There are some done on vegetation. So all sorts of projects everywhere around the world. There's one on kiwi conservation in New Zealand, on agroforestry schemes, all sorts of projects. So yeah, we try to include updates in our newsletter, and sometimes we'll do a highlight on the website as well. So it might be worth looking at that too. I've got a question about funding. We we do not offer currently funded positions, unfortunately. Many people will be looking for applying through their home country. So many governments will have scholarship schemes for students going to study abroad. So this is an opportunity. Also, sometimes, depending on where you work, some people have been funded by their employers if they believe this is a skill set that would be beneficial for their company. So we do have a few students each year that are funded by their employer. So that's another option potentially available if you're in a set of circumstances like that. Have we had any rewilding students on the course? And if so, have they found it useful? So we do cover a bit of rewilding in various modules. I'm not sure whether I would be able to describe someone as a rewilding student, because this seems to be a very narrow discipline. When it comes to all these opportunities that are out there for ecologists, but there's always an interest in habitat assessment, and kind of before and after comparisons, looking at long-term impacts. So these skill sets are definitely applicable in rewilding, and this is something that we provide. So in this sense, yes, it has been useful. We have had people who have been rangers and who have been working on rewilding projects, and yes, it has been beneficial for them. But calling them just rewilding students, that's I would say maybe a little bit narrow. But yes, we do cover skill sets that are useful in the context of rewilding. So when it comes to the coastal or marine studies, there have been some assessments that I've definitely seen that focus on coastal and marine biodiversity, especially in the fish and amphibian context, but also in the vegetation context for coastal ecosystems. So there is coverage of these areas. And yes, I think you would find parts of the module useful if these are your interests. But bear in mind that, for instance, in the face-to-face week, since we are based in Oxford, which is not very close to any coastlines whatsoever, that aspect of experiential learning is very much terrestrial and freshwater. There's a question about ringing birds and the what is allowed and what isn't allowed with the ringing. So just to let you know, when I talk about ringing birds, that is done by the professional staff at Whiteham Woods, but the students get to see the process firsthand. So they get to follow what exactly happens with the bird, because yes, you're right, you have to have the experience and the license to actually do the ringing yourself. But so if they're holding a bird, that's to release it. Having said that, they have the opportunity to follow exactly what is being measured in the bird, how it's being weighed, how it's being caught, what happens with it, and they're able to ask questions to tutors who have been doing this sort of work for over 30 years. So the wealth of experience that comes with the bird ringing, also because it's a sample day in which we try to fit a lot of different activities, and bird ringing is just the thing that we do the first thing in the morning. It's not particularly long. So no, you will not get a bird ringing license out of the one day, but you will get to see how exactly it's been done. I see that we have some people who are quite keen to apply. I'll be keeping an eye out for applications, which is wonderful. And if there are any other questions, I'm still here for the next few minutes. Would you say that this course provides any professional development, or is it focused more on the academic field? So you will be gaining skills such as how to read a scientific paper, how to write in a more formal academic way. You will gain data analysis skills. You will be doing, depending on the options you choose, but you will be doing presentations, so you'll get some help with that as well. You will be given careers advice. So there is that aspect of professional development, but the core skills that you will be learning are ecological survey skills. So that makes it more academic, I suppose. It depends on what sort of professional development you have in mind as well. But there are definitely skills that are quite transferable, like data handling, writing, looking for resources, that you will find useful in a variety of contexts. Okay. Thank you very much. I think I have answered all of the questions. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today, and any other questions we would be very happy to answer via email.